and I'm honored to be your Master of Ceremonies this evening. First order of business is I'd like to introduce the hard-working Hall of Fame Committee. Without their hard work, this event would not take place. They do a fabulous job every year, and I'd like to first introduce them if I could. So just bear with me 1 second. First of all, our chairperson, Paul Sheehan. Paul. Our secretary, Martha Murphy Medsdorf. I don't know if Martha's here this evening. I think she was detained in work, had a work event. Our treasurer, Paul Sheehan, dual roles. Dr. Eric Conti, superintendent of schools, is on the committee. And Dr. Conti is going to be a little late this evening, but he'll be here later. Mark Sullivan, principal for Burlington High School. Sean Hart, our athletic director. Deborah Thompson, who fills in for as chairperson for Paul when Paul's unavailable. Deb, hardworking. Thanks, Deb. Joseph Leone, who shares the duties with me, introducing all the Hall of Famers tonight. Patrick O'Brien. Robert D. Chiara. Karen Hubner. Calandrelli. Susan Turnquist. Joe Levasseur, Coach Lev. And myself. And I'd like to make special note of two committee members who had stepped down since our last induction ceremony and dinner. One with us tonight is Dick Howard, who is since inception on the committee for over 20 years. Dick, great to see you here. And former tennis coach and Hall of Famer Mike Phelan. Next order of business, I'd like to introduce the school committee chairperson, Martha Simon, who would like to say a few remarks, please.
I'm honored to have been invited to speak tonight. I won't take up a lot of your time. And it is a pleasure to see so many successful Burlington alumni coming back to reminisce about your many athletic accomplishments and also those of your friends. Sports, as you know, are much more than about just winning and losing. And as you may know, the motto of the Burlington Athletics is now compete with character. And this goes back to the ancient Greeks, who thought that sports and exercise were essential to being a good human being. They backed up this belief by inventing the gymnasium. So that's how we got gymnasiums. And that was a place where people could go to build up their bodies and hone their character. They knew, and the people in this room demonstrate, that people who play sports learn important things about perseverance in the face of obstacles, about different kinds of people learning to work together for a common goal, about focusing your mind and your body, and also about joy, hard work, achievement, and friendship. When I look around the room, I see the faces of men and women who were leaders, who worked hard to develop their character and the strengths of their teammates. Thank you for all of your contributions, and congratulations on the legacy that you have left at Burlington High School. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Next, from the school committee, our principal, Mark Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Curtin. Dr. Conti wanted me to give his regrets. He's at I believe, a Conservation Commission meeting or something, which I don't think is nearly as fun as this. But thank you very much. I just wanted to thank the Hall of Fame committee. I wanted to give a special shout out to Mr. Gillis. He started this Hall of Fame, I think, back in 2000. And he gets to see his son inducted tonight. So Ed, that's pretty amazing and special for you. So congrats. Thank you. I also just wanted to congratulate all the inductees tonight, whether you still live here or you're returning. Welcome home. Lots of things have changed over the years, but what hasn't is Burlington's commitment to its students and programs. So just wanted to say that tradition continues. And I also wanted to give a special shout out to two of the inductees, Sue Turnquist and Bob Concession, who I've had the privilege to work with since 2007. Both very deserving, and I'm very proud to be here with you tonight. Both amazing individuals, always putting themselves before others, and their commitment to the programs and kids in Burlington has been unwavering. So congratulations to you both. Congratulations again to everybody. I hope everyone has a great night, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. And last but not least, our athletic director, Sean Hart.
Good evening, everybody. Just want to say congratulations to all the inductees, and I want to say thank you especially to the Hall of Fame committee for putting this amazing night together. To be brief, my 9th year here in the district, and if I could just tell you that having Coach C and Sue Turnquist be the two faces that I got to meet right away and brought me along, there have been not two greater friends that I've made since I've been here, and not two greater mentors. Sue and I got to share an office together, so I apologize to her often. But nonetheless, I've said this since I've been there. I walked into a job 9 years ago where she was the boss and I was the person helping her. And it was, and I'll be honest with you, I would have never given it up, but she decided to. So I will, you can have my job back anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And I just thought before we get into the formal eating, I know we've already started salads, I just want to obviously have a moment of silence for any of our we've lost several of our former Hall of Fame inductees, so if we could just have a quick moment of silence before we have our formal meal. Thank you.
So this is our class of 2023. Let's have a big round of applause for them. Our first inductees tonight, the 1990 and 1991 boys varsity basketball team. The 1990-91 boys basketball team was the most successful basketball team in Burlington High School history. They were a team comprised of many stars and no superstars. They worked hard and they worked together. Under the leadership of head coach Tom Imbroglio, assistant coach Dennis Doble and Mark Melanson, and the captains Eric Langen and Tim Hawley, they won the Middlesex League Championship and got to the finals of the North Sectional Tournament. The team was resilient, overcoming a 20-point deficit against Dom Savio in the first round of the tournament. Later in the tournament, they defeated the number 1 seed Saugus, a tremendous run by a group of young men, not so young anymore. Congratulations to the 1990-91 boys basketball team. You are all Hall of Famers. Come on up.
Good evening. First, we want to thank especially Deb Thompson and the entire Hall of Fame committee for this incredible honor, and a huge congratulations to the other inductees here tonight. Before I pass the mic over, just want to talk about a few reasons why we're here tonight. Number one is red versus white. Bar none, the toughest team that we played all season was each other in practice. We battled and we battled hard. Greg Poehler, who flew in from Sweden, along with Mike DeLeo, went at it with They went at it with Tim Hawley every single day. I had to battle Sean Curtin and Pat Flaherty, which was not easy. Scott McQuilkin was going at it with Mark Giovanello and Jim O'Shea. Inside, Todd Palmer and Jason Clifford had Craig Milley, Darren McDonald, and Dan Rabazi to contend with. And quick story about Dan. Dan didn't play the previous season, so we cornered him in the B-side cafeteria and pleaded with him to come back and play. And thank God he did, because Todd Palmer, our 4-year varsity player and leading scorer, went out with a brutal eye injury in the second game of the season, which sidelined him for, he's saying first game, I think it was the second game. So we're already fighting like it was 1991. So he was sidelined for nine games. Dan stepped in and completely changed the way we played. He raised havoc at the front of the press, deflecting passes, trapping, and we started to play fast on both ends of the floor, which wasn't very common in 1991. Along with that, we were fortunate to have the absolute best assistant coaches in the league, Dennis, Dr. Ditto, Doble, and Mark Melanson. We had Dan Ardito and Hugh Morrison keeping us organized and in line, while Adam and Andrew and Briglio in their cute little suits were keeping us hydrated. So while I can't remember many details about my classes or curriculum at BHS, the details that live and remain from this team are crystallized. A team that has given 30-plus years of incredible memories and camaraderie. I'm very thankful for all these guys. The last reason, and really the most important reason we're here, is Coach Imbriglio. Coach was hard as hell on us because he knew we could handle it. He loved us and poured everything into this team. The work ethic that he instilled in us would help us reach our potential, and we in turn loved and appreciated it. I can vouch for all of us. I think that it wasn't a love fest all the time when we were running BBs and at halftime in the locker room, whether we were winning or losing. But really, it was those times that we really appreciated Coach Imbriglio. And I realize that it's very rare to develop and maintain a friendship with your high school coach. But that said, it's an honor to pass the rest of our time to someone who I'm fortunate to call a friend, Coach Imbriglio.
Thank you, Eric. First of all, congratulations to all the inductees. It's well-earned honor, and I'm amazed at the quality and the performance level of all which you've all done. And I got to give a special thank you to the Hall of Fame committee and for all the hard work that they do up front, behind the doors, behind all those meetings and getting all this organized to make this such a special event and for a special number of people. So I really all say thank you all to them very, very much. Thank you. Now, for the record, I wanted to go on the record to say that my gray hair is not due to my advanced age. I'll be 75 shortly, within a month. I was 43 when I started coaching these guys. And they all work together. And guess what? My hair is now prematurely gray. In fact, Langan over here, Eric Langan, it can take credit for the whole backside being totally gray. You're welcome. All right. And I want to make sure that Hugh Morrison knows that he's way up there as well. Okay. Now, I've been asked to make a fast break speech. In other words, it's supposed to be short and sweet. But I think I want to speed it up a little bit. So I'm going to go to the 1-2-1-1 zone press speech, which is in honor of Dan Rabazi with our zone press defense. So it's going to be fast and sweet, but it'll get to the point. All right, now, here we go. 32 years ago, believe it or not, this group got together, and they decided that they were going to play some hoops. And I mean some serious hoop. They were probably the most talented, hardworking, unselfish, this is a key one, unified team that I ever coached in 23 years in Burlington. They were also very smart. The only thing I had trouble with is getting the guards to realize that they didn't need to shoot the three-point shot until the ball went inside to the big guys, which was a really good front line. So they never seemed to manage that too well. But everything else, they learned pretty well. Now, you're supposed to laugh at that, fellas.
It's not funny.
All right, it was not funny. Most importantly, they were determined to win. That injury to Todd started off, it was awful. It was a very, very bad injury in the eye. And we started off 1-3. We had 1-3. We had a lot of expectations, and here we go. We're at 1-3. Most teams would have folded up their tents and gone home. Not these guys. They just rolled up their sleeves, got more determined, played a little bit harder. And we went on a 16-3 run the rest of the season. So we turned it around, and they accomplished some amazing things. They won the Wilmington Christmas tournament. They led the league in scoring, qualified for the state tournament. You needed 60% of your wins in those days. We got 75 of your regular schedule. And they won the Middlesex League. Now, bear with me for a second, because they probably forgot about this, so I want to remind them. This is what you get when you win the Middlesex League. Okay? I want to tell you, this has been worn 3 times. It's pristine. I wore it the night I received it. I wore it when we had an impromptu 25-year reunion of that team. I wore it then, and I'm wearing it tonight. And I want them to remind them all that it was a special, special year. All right. Now, we know we won the league. We also defeated that Saugus team that was #1 and rated in a tournament. And that was an amazing game, one of the best ones I ever saw and ever was involved in. Fabulous game. And then we moved on to the semifinals of the state, Northern Division, and which was the furthest any Burlington High team has ever gone in the tournament. But sadly, we fell a couple of points short. And there was about a 30-second span with 2 minutes to go in the game, and nothing went right for us, and everything went right for the opposing team, and we lost. And it was sad, because one of the things, if you got into the finals, we would have been able to play at the Boston Garden before it got renovated on the real parquet floor. And that was a goal that we all wanted. Probably more so than winning the state championship, we wanted to get on that parquet floor. But we didn't. Okay. Unfortunately, some bad things happened. Now, every athlete in this room knows that 99.9% of athletes lose their final game, their final match, whatever it is. Only a few get to say that they get to the total pinnacle. That season wasn't supposed to end like that for us. It was supposed to be our crowning glory. So all we were left with the what-if questions. What if I had done this? What if Imbriglio had done something different at that 20-second or 30-second time frame? Unfortunately, those what-ifs never get answered. In fact, we had an impromptu 25-year reunion, and the topic was those what-ifs about losing that game to Acton Boxborough. Unfortunately, we just didn't get our storybook ending, which we all thought we deserved. However, tonight's induction changes everything. You now have closure, fellas. You now have closure. No more what-ifs. You are the Middlesex League champs, and now you are Burlington High School Hall of Famers. And that, to me, closes the story of the 1991 basketball team. The efforts and the achievements were remarkable. Your success is now permanently etched in stone. And I want to say thank God that stonemason finally completed his work after 32 years. Thank you. Congratulations, fellas. Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
It was a pleasure to work for Sue for many years. And she is being awarded the award tonight for being a benefactor. And that word kind of fascinated me because I wasn't too familiar with it, but it simply means in Latin to do good. So tonight I'm changing that to she did great. There are two things that really show off her many talents, and that is the love she had for the kids, and that was very, very sincere. And the kids loved her right back, and that is wonderful proof. And why did they like her so much? Very simple. She was patient, she was kind, and she was understanding. Those are three very good qualities, especially when you're dealing with young people. The key thing here also is that Susan had a remarkable way of working with groups of people. A lot of people that sometimes were very demanding. I'll read a small list of the people that she dealt with, usually on a daily basis. She had to deal with parents, teachers, coaches, bus companies, the police, the principals, the custodians, other ADs, and the list goes on. And she did it with a lot of class. Susan, you're very deserving of this award. It was a pleasure working with you. And now here's another great friend, retired athletic director, Eddie Gillis.
Thank you. How do you top that? It's trouble. First of all, I'd like to thank Eric Conti and Mark Sullivan. They were tremendous bosses and made things easy. Thank you very much. Bobby Concession, congratulations. It was a well-deserved award. I'd like to also thank the Hall of Fame committee. They do a tremendous job, as you can tell. First of all, what they said is that I started this Hall of Fame. Well, it wasn't just I. Susan was a big part of it, as she was on all things that we did. She was a great boss. Thank you, Susan. Susan Turnquist is one of the nicest people I have ever known. She was always very kind and welcoming to everyone she came in contact with. Being extremely organized, there was never a job too big or too small for her that was ever an issue. Not only was Sue a confidant, she was also my friend. We are honored to have Susan in the Burlington Hall of Fame. Thank you, Sue.
Good evening, everybody. I guess I better put my glasses on. Well, first, I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this honor and congratulate all the other inductees, present and past. As adults, I think one of the biggest challenges can be finding a job that you love. Well, I've been very lucky in that regard. I started working in the school department in 1989 in the cafeteria. I worked at the elementary school my children were attending and then moved to the middle school. Going to work every day was like playing with my friends. We made soups for the teachers and desserts for the kids and sang and danced while we did it. It couldn't get much better. From the cafeteria, I moved into the clerical department and worked a year and a half in the music department. In December 1998, an opening became available in the athletic department. I was a little apprehensive about moving. After all, I was never an athlete. But it was a good move to help my family. Our daughter was in college, and our twins would be starting in the fall. Well, I never would have dreamed of the adventure I would have. From day one, working with athletic director Ed Gillis was such a pleasure. He was our head coach to speak. Working together every day was truly a privilege. We would usually start our day with coffee, which he brought me every day, and conversation about our family and what was planned on the athletic schedule for the week. There was always plenty to do. Looking back on the changes and progress that was made by this school, community, and athletic department during Ed's time here, I was fortunate to have a front row seat to participate, observe, and enjoy these historic moments. Did I mention that I love my job? And being around to see Sean Hart continue the tradition was exciting. From the beginning, we seemed to be on the same page, for the most part. We also started our day with what was happening in the athletic department and our lives. Did I mention I loved my job? The best part of the day was talking with all the amazing coaches and athletes throughout the day who would pop in with questions, paperwork, or schedules for buses, or just to say hello. So many wonderful people made my day brighter week after week, month after month, and year after year. Seeing the athletes grow into successful adults is such a perk of the job. In a way, I have to admit I feel a little guilty being recognized for doing something that I enjoyed so much. I should be presenting Burlington High School in the Athletic Hall of Fame Committee with a certificate of appreciation. Was 20 years as an administrative assistant in an athletic office easy? I'm not sure about that, but I would say it was always busy and challenging. Buses breaking down, officials not showing up, snow canceling events, conflicts in schedules, calls from parents, and the list goes on. But then that never spoiled the good stuff, the championships, the milestones, the victories, and plenty of laughs, hugs, smiles, and tears that are part of any big family. I walked into this office with no athletic background, and I left a proud, proud Red Devil. I'm grateful that I had a chance to join this family, and becoming a member of this Hall of Fame is truly the icing on the cake. It's overwhelming, humbling, and something I will cherish forever. Thank you all.
I personally coached for 40 years at Concord Carlisle, and I like to think I was a pretty good coach. However, when I read this resume of Coach Conceition, I found out what a great coach really is. According to Coach Lev, Bob is a gentleman. He does things the right way. He was a great teacher. He taught his kids the right way to play. As a teacher, he knew that you had to teach your players as well as coach them. Coach Conceition was successful wherever he went, Malden Catholic or Burlington High School or Merrimack College. His teams won 9 Middlesex League championships, had 8 appearances in the Super 8, a tournament set up to get the Catholic schools out of the public schools tournament. Most coaches opt out of playing in that tournament, but not Bob. In fact, his team was a finalist in the tournament in 2009. His teams won 2 state championships, and in his spare time, he coached the girls' soccer team for 16 years. And even though there were no league championships, he will tell you all about the great players and teams that he had to coach. Later in his career, he decided he would try coaching golf, and is still doing that today. Most of us this age are playing golf every day, not coaching it. He ended his career with 488 wins, by my count, between Burlington High School and Malden Catholic. Many coaches would hang on for another year or more to chase the 500 number. But this is a great example of how humble a man Bob is. It is my honor and my pleasure to welcome to the podium Hall of Fame coach Bob Conceition.
I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee. I'd also like to thank the Burlington High School, Burlington School System Administration. For so many years I coached. I coached three sports where you cut kids. I coached over 1,000 games in at the town of Burlington. You need support. I had the support from 5 athletic directors, 6 counting Susan, 5 principals, 5 superintendents. I had a school committee that was the symbolic support within the town. I loved my relationship with BHS faculty. Together, we had a healthy relationship that brought athletics and academics together for so many years. Tom's team, wrestles at that time in the 90s, 91s, we had a great winter in all sports supporting each other, both the faculty and the coaches. I'd like to thank my coaching staffs, 8 assistant coaches in girls soccer. I don't remember who they are. 10 assistant coaches in hockey, but the best staff I had was the last 10 years when we had our most success in hockey, and they're all here. My assistant coach, Steve Raleigh, my assistant coach, Barry Yaden, Donald Morgan and Bobby were young coaches cutting their teeth with us, and of course our volunteer Terry Hatch. And I'm so proud to say that the program is now carrying on the tradition with Bobby, Donald, and Terry carrying that hockey torch around. I'd like to recognize my family, my 4 siblings, my brother Joe, who is the first advanced scout of hockey. He was also the person who actually told me that Bobby was going to be a coach one day. Bobby used to sit in his lap at the Ice Palace with his clipboard. My brothers and sisters, my brother Jimmy, my brother Danny, thanks for coming. My sister Carol, the one girl in a family, and she was the queen of Central Ave. And thank you guys for that support. I'd like to thank my own family, most of whom are here tonight. Bobby Jr. And his wife Chrissy. They're the proud and great parents of our first 2 grandchildren, Olivia and Charlie. Charlie would be here tonight, but he has his first game as a goalie on Sunday. So if you're not doing anything at 12:30 at the Woburn Rink, you come and see us play his first game. My daughter MK, one of the best, truly best teachers in the town of Burlington. In her recent named fiance, AJ, they're going to be called from now on the Alphabet family. My daughter Bridget, I'm skipping Chrissy. How could I skip Chrissy? Christine, okay, her birthday is today. And you know what? She definitely wouldn't rather be any place but right here with us. Her husband Joe is home with my 2 other grandchildren, Thomas and Cooper. They were going to come tonight, but they said they would not come unless there was a monster truck on each table. So they're not here. But thanks to Joe for all his support. My daughter Bridget, who is the queen of Thomas Street for sure, our roommate, Colleen and my roommate, for the last 10 or 15 years. She's also brought in Tall Paul, her boyfriend, who's become so much a part of our family, especially because he has all the equipment to mow the lawn and do all that stuff. He's a great guy. My son Paul was inducted into the Hall of Fame 2 years ago with his team that went to the Super 8 finals that Joe just talked about. I wish he could be here, but he's in Arkansas, his new home. But I'll tell you what, Paul just has a new grandchild who's 9 months old, Camden, and he's trying to figure out whether Camden's a righty or a lefty, and this is how he's doing it. He's learning to crawl. He puts a book over here, and he puts a ball over there. So if he crawls and grabs the ball with this hand, he's a lefty. If he crawls and grabs the ball with the right hand, he's a righty. But I thank Paul for all his support. Colleen, what can I say? It's amazing. A lot of you people out here have coached. I have coached over, 1,200 games in Burlington, okay, in 3 different sports. And my wife is a daughter of a coach, so she knew what she was getting into when she married me. But to think of all those games, all the Wednesdays and Saturdays during the winter, the busy falls with soccer. I mean, it's amazing. She lived everything with me. Our teams became our second family. Our players became brothers and sisters to our 5 children. 35 years of games, of curfew calls. To live it with me, I don't know how you did it, Colleen, but thank you for your support and your love all those years. Two of Colleen's brothers are here tonight to support me. The rest of the siblings are in other parts of the state, other parts of the country, and other parts of the world. But thank you, Patrick, for being here. You've been a constant support for me in my career. Thank you, Sean. Sean and I got to know each other when he was in high school and I was a teacher. And we've supported each other in our careers all through our lives. So thank you, Patrick and Sean, for being here. So, I heard a rumor last year that because I have such a big family, that my 3 to 5 minutes starts now, okay, which is nice, okay, because my family is so big. So I will start now. And I promise that my remarks, for those who were here 2 years ago, will be a little longer than Ralph D'Agostino's, which was 30 seconds, and a little shorter than Sean O'Brien's, which was 3 hours. But it's my distinct honor and pleasure to be inducted with 2 of my former players, Katie Millie and Jen Green. And with the best athletic director I ever worked with, Susan Turnquist. No offense, Ed. No offense, Sean. So I was thinking about what I was going to talk about tonight, and I thought about coaching. What else? So what is coaching? The guy I should ask is Coach Millie, one of the most renowned college hockey coaches in the world. But to me, coaching is a little bit more than X's and O's. It's a little bit more than systems in plays. It's a little bit more than cultivating the best players on your team. It's a little bit more than winning. All those things are important, especially winning. But it's about connections. It's about building a culture. It's about fostering team and individual values, and it's about motivation. In other words, it's about teaching. Coaching to me was always an extension of my teaching, and it still is. I love to talk about all the games. All the games at the old Boston Garden, the new Boston Garden, Frozen Fenway, BC, BU, all the great games. The games when kids were tailgating outside the Ice Palace for the Woburn Burlington game. I love to talk about those things. But I also love to talk about the bus rides with Dottie. I also like to talk about and think about pumpkins on my front lawn. Thanks, Katie and Jean. I also like to think about our locker room. Our Christmas Eve morning sneak practices with a Yankee swap among the players. I also like to think about that locker room where Jim Bryan, Mike Crocker, and Marty Wells came and talked to the kids about dealing with cancer. I like about that, I like that as much as the games. I also like talking about our great players. Jay Pandolfo, Eric Peterson, Eric Langley, Dave Casiola, Katie Umili, Camille Sparks, Colleen Byrne, Sean Hurley, all those athletes that I got a chance to coach. But I also like thinking about the families that I've coached. 4 Morgans, 3 Gordons, 3 Burns, all the families that have allowed me to coach their siblings and allowed me to have some kind of an influence on their life. Those elite athletes that I coached, I taught them nothing about their sport, nothing. They were born with it, okay? They were tremendous, tremendous athletes. But I did teach them about leadership, about inclusiveness, about motivation, about the importance of working with the other people in the team, especially the 16th player, the 4th line player, the manager. And I taught them, or reinforced, that if you're given more, more is expected of you. The second thing I wanted to reflect upon was the word legacy. Because this day, this night is without question, it's a night to celebrate legacy, personal legacy, team legacy. Most important, legacy is not important when you're 16 years old. It's probably not important when you're 20 or you're 30, but when you're 60 or 70, okay, legacy is important. I keep thinking back to a Latin person that I studied in high school. His name was Seneca, who once said, quite often, an old man has no proof of living other than his age. You know what? As an older person, finding meaning is difficult. Finding purpose is difficult. But when you think about what legacy means, to me, it's the intersection of your professional legacy and your personal legacy. Things like, we learn more about from one loss than we do from 5 wins. We inherit our values from our families. We develop those values through our interaction with aunts, uncles, siblings, grandparents, cousins, friends, and yes, teammates. They help us develop those values and keep those values. For me, the legacy is that connection between your professional life and your personal life. I hope that the players that played for me will take some of that with them throughout their life. I hope my children and my 5 grandchildren will learn from those things and take some of those values with me. I learned those values from my parents. I honed them with my friends, and I developed them with my siblings, with my wife and my family, and with my teammates, the players that I coach. I want to thank you for this honor. I want to congratulate all the inductees and enjoy the evening.
Dennis Badden played #1 singles for the tennis team all 4 years at BHS. He went undefeated in the Middlesex League his sophomore, junior, and senior seasons. Dennis was a Boston Globe and a Boston Herald All-Scholastic, a Lowell Sun All-Star, and the Lowell Sun's Player of the Year. He was a Middlesex League All-Star all 4 years he played. He also reached the #1 ranking in New England for both singles and doubles, and a top 20 national ranking. Dennis also played varsity soccer as a junior and senior, with his senior team making it to the finals of the North Sectional. It's still a few years away, but I'm guessing some Bay State Games championships in pickleball are in his future. Dennis currently resides in Charlestown with his wife, Nicole, and 2 sons, Diego, age 9, and Mateo, age 6. His parents, Renee and Anne Marie, also live in Charlestown. Dennis works as a partner at Executive Search for Hendrick and Struggles. It is my pleasure to welcome to the Burlington High School Athletic Hall of Fame, Dennis Badden.
really honored to be inducted tonight with such an amazing class of people, like Bob Concession, who coached both of my sisters in soccer, and some of my best buddies on the ice, and Katie Umili, who was a teammate of my older sister in soccer. I still remember as a kid just marveling at what an amazing soccer player she was. I still don't think I've ever seen anyone that fast on the soccer field. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my family. My parents spent the better part of a decade driving me all over New England to play practices and camps, and flying all over the country with me to play in tournaments. And I think they each had to work an extra 5 years probably to pay for it all. My sisters, Michelle and Leslie, they spent a big chunk of their childhood with only one parent around. There was so much focus on me and carting me around, and to their credit, they never once complained or held it against me. They held a lot of things against me, but that wasn't one of them. My dad taught me the game of tennis, and soccer for that matter, and he had to deal with my attitude problem because I think I was about 12 years old before I was able to beat him. And even then, I think he let me win. But most importantly, he made the game fun for me. As a competitive junior tennis player, I was surrounded by I witnessed a lot of really intense, kind of crazy tennis parents who just put an enormous amount of pressure on their kids. And for me, win or lose, when I walked off the court, I was always greeted with a high five and a good job. And that meant a lot to me, and I think it's probably part of the reason that I still enjoy the game of tennis today. Coach Mike Phelan, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, also had a huge impact on me, dating from the days that I learned to play tennis at the Burlington Swim and Tennis Club. He used to come up to me and say, "Hey, Baden, hurry up and get to high school, will ya?" And there was a time, due to behavioral issues, that my parents threatened to send me to Belmont Hill. And one of the major reasons I protested, outside of the fact that there were no girls and that I'd have to wear a tie to school every day, was the fact that there was just no way I wasn't going to play for Coach Phelan. He spent an enormous amount of his time teaching the game of tennis at the Swim and Tennis Club, at Rohannes Park, at Woburn Racquet Club over the winter, and he never asked for a dime. He did it for the love of the game and for his love of teaching. And I wish he was here tonight, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. I was advised by countless coaches that if I played high school tennis, it was going to be really bad for my game. And while that might have been true, I'm looking at you, Kaner, for introducing me to Whopper Jays and 9-ball. I wouldn't trade the experience for the world. The one thing I didn't always love about tennis is what an individual sport it was, and that's why I love playing on the high school team so much. It's also why I love soccer, and I went back to play at my junior and senior years of high school so that I could play with my best friends who are here tonight, and they all also played on the tennis team. You guys have always supported me not only in sports but in life, and I know that we're also going to be friends for life. Any accomplishments on the field or on the court absolutely pale in comparison to the way I married up with my amazing wife, Nicole, and the life that we've built with our sons, Diego and Mateo. And my dad coached all of our soccer teams, I should say, up until high school. And he's got the red cards to prove it. And I'm trying to carry that torch by coaching both of their soccer teams and teaching them the game of tennis. And hopefully I'm doing it with as much love as I received along the way. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Next up is Holly Brayette McGovern. As you can see, quite an impressive record. According to Holly's field hockey coach, Maura Gillis, Holly was a natural leader. Even as a freshman, she showed those qualities. She had an innate ability to play the sport. She played field hockey for 4 years and was captain of the team for 2 of them, and Middlesex League All-Star for 2 of them as well. Coach Gillis also noted the connection between field hockey and ice hockey, which Holly switched to in the winter. There, she was a varsity player for 5 years, and again, captain for 2 and a league all-star for 2, as well as a Lowell Sun all-star for 2. She was a latecomer to lacrosse, but the similarities to field hockey and ice hockey were there, and she obviously caught on. It is my pleasure to welcome to the Hall of Fame Burlington Athletics, Holly Brayette McGovern.
It is truly an honor to be receiving this induction tonight, and I know that I would never have gotten to this point if it weren't for many influential people in my life. I've had many coaches throughout my athletic career, and I am thankful for each and every one of them and what they've done for me. But I would like to take a few minutes to personally and properly thank a few of them. First, thank you to my field hockey coach, Maura Gillis, who saw my potential, even though I was just a kid who on the first day of tryouts had never picked up a field hockey stick before, and I played way too much like an ice hockey player, but I was eager to play and learn the game. I didn't know anything about field hockey, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to play. But Maura taught me how amazing the sport is and encouraged me to play outside of the high school season. If it wasn't for her guidance, I probably wouldn't have pursued and played field hockey in college, a sport I never envisioned myself playing, and now I can't envision my life without it. I only hope to impose some of her guidance onto my players now as I coach field hockey at Framingham State. Second, thank you to Marty Conley and Chrissy Concession-Whedon. Chrissy's here tonight, thanks coach. Two of the best hockey coaches I have ever had the pleasure of playing under. I was lucky enough to play hockey at BHS for 5 years, and in that time I had numerous coaches come and go, and it was frustrating to feel like my potential and time on the team was fading as we couldn't keep a standard duo of coaches. But the day that Coach Conley and Coach Chrissy became a part of the team, everything changed. When I think of my time as a Red Devil, the same memory comes to mind. My senior night, February 2013, I see you nodding, you know it's coming. We beat Wilmington 1-0 and clinched a playoff spot for the first time in school history. I still have chills just thinking about it, and the first kept coming after that. We had our first postseason win, and for the first time ever, the fan section at the Ice Palace was packed for our game, the girls' game. Not just the third period before the boys' game, but for our entire game. I had never been more proud to represent my school in my sport. I had given up the hope of ever playing in a postseason game wearing the Devils uniform, but Coach Conley and Coach Chrissy never gave up on that dream. Thank you for always pushing me to being the best player and person I can be. You've impacted my life in more ways than you know. Finally, I would like to thank my first ever coach, my dad. Thank you for passing your love of sports down to me and my sister. Thank you for building those backyard rinks every winter and for showing me how to have grit, tenacity, and determination in all aspects of my life. Thank you to my mom for being my biggest cheerleader, for always showing up, and for documenting every newspaper clipping, article, and photograph from my time at BHS and putting them in a scrapbook that I will cherish forever. To my sister Ashley, I was so lucky to play by your side and under your leadership in the Devils uniform for 3 years. To my husband Tom, although we met after my time at BHS, you have shown me unwavering support and continue to accept my competitive side, even if it is just game night or mini golf. Lastly, thank you to all of my former teammates, teachers, coaches, and members of this Hall of Fame committee for allowing me to be my truest and proudest self, which is an athlete. Thank you.
Sam is the second D'Agostino to be inducted into the Burlington High School Athletic Hall of Fame, following his older brother Ralph's footsteps. I'm sure the debate over who the better athlete is and has been an ongoing thing for many years in their household. Sam played football and played it very well. He was captain his senior year and earned Middlesex League and Harry Aganis All-Star honors. According to Coach Lev, Sam was an aggressive two-way player, but where he really helped the team was as a punter. He averaged 45 yards a punt. He was a tremendous weapon. Sam went on to play 4 years at Ithaca College and was part of the Division III National Championship team up there. Congratulations, Sam, and welcome to the Burlington High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
You know, I walked in here tonight, and the first person I saw was, I think, probably the greatest mentor and coach that Burlington High has ever seen, Joe Levasseur. Joe was probably 2 years out of Maine when I was a senior, and he could relate to us. Joe, we used to do the marathon with Mike Crocker in the weight room. We'd meet at 8 o'clock on Saturday mornings, and we'd lift weights till 4 o'clock. And one afternoon, I went home, my mother said, "Where were you?" I said, "I was with Coach Lev, we were lifting weights." "Since 8 o'clock this morning?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Give Joe a call. He'll tell you." Joe, thank you. The other person I saw tonight coming in, my first Pop Warner coach, Howie Strahan, who gave numerous hours to the town and to the football program, and the Strahans are a great football family as well as just a great family in Burlington. You know, when I first received the letter asking me to come into the hall, the letter, it gave me some pause, it gave me some time to reflect, not so much on being a football player, how many passes I caught, how many touchdowns were scored. It brought me back to just being a youth in Burlington and enjoying sports. Taking my bike to an 11 o'clock baseball game in Little League at Simons Park. Going to Dom's Golf after the game, bringing a quarter and getting a Coke out of the best Coke machine. Remember that, Joe?
Absolutely the best.
Right? It was the best one. And it was in a bottle, by the way. Right? Pop Warner football, those fall nights, get a little chilly, practicing out at Marvin Field, Howie. A lot of fun, a lot of good memories. But what really makes tonight significant to me is when I was a sixth grader, my brother Ralph, and fellow Hall of Famer, he was a captain and quarterback of the '69 football team. I never missed a game. And I think back to those days, and maybe as a 10-year-old, it wasn't quite as impressive as it was to me then, but remember the student body marching up Wynn Street to the old high school? The red and white confetti all over the sidewalks? I looked at that and I said to myself, I want to be a Red Devil football player. I'm sure the crowds weren't nearly as I thought they were. And in those days, the Burlington Times-Union, remember the big spread? They may still do it, if the paper's still there. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, all the pictures, the seniors, the backfield, the coaches, whomever. And I would, as a youth, I would open that paper. I couldn't wait to get it the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and I wanted to be one of those guys. So, junior high years, playing Pop Warner, trying to get myself ready to be a Red Devil football player. I met my best friend for life and fellow Hall of Famer, and someone that I still miss very much, Mike Crocker. We worked out together, we ran together, we lifted weights in my garage, and my father, when he sold the house, kept saying, "Are you gonna get that power rack out of the garage?" And I said, "Dad, it's been 25 years, I think maybe we'll leave it there." I'm proud to be able to stand with Mike tonight in the hall, as I am with my brother Ralph. If there's one thing to sum up tonight, I think the major word for me would be an appreciation. Appreciation for all the coaches, the teachers, and youth sports volunteers who are great models and leaders in the community. Thanks very much for making this a great night, and I hope I've been a good son of Burlington, and I hope everyone's as proud as I am to be. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Edward Gillis. Edward Gillis is a big boy. And according to Coach Lev, the best athlete for his size I have had the pleasure to coach. He worked hard and never said boo. Ed played two grueling physical sports, football in the fall and wrestling in the winter. He was a captain and a Middlesex League All-Star in football, but wrestling is where he really shined. He was a state runner-up and qualified for nationals in his senior year. He was captain of the team as a junior and senior. He was a Middlesex League All-Star as a sophomore, junior, and senior, and a Lowell Sun All-Star as a junior and senior. Coach Lev added, he demonstrated great toughness. He is a great kid from a great family. Please welcome to the Burlington High School Athletic Hall of Fame, Edward Gillis.
I'm incredibly honored to be inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. I'd like to first thank the Hall of Fame committee. I'd next would like to congratulate all the fellow inductees. The trainers, Linda Bannon, Amy Dowdy, kept me healthy. Ice every day, my ankles, my hips, grueling sports. I've always needed something at least 15 minutes a day. Football, I'd like to thank the following coaches: Jack Dillon, Steve Anderson, Chuck McCauley, Mike Mastrullo, Tom Gochis, Jim Harrington, Joe Levasseur, who came on my senior year to coach line, George Balian, Sean McGuire, and volunteers Kevin Fitzgerald, Dave Hannafin, and my brother Matt Gillis at the end my senior year. Playing football, playing defense for Balian. George Balian was the nicest guy I ever played for. Smile ear to ear all the time. Great coach, knew his defense, and everyone on our team really played as hard as they could for him and for Sean McGuire. Coach McGuire had so many laughs. We laughed so much off season. There was a time to laugh. There was a time to be serious. Coach McGuire was, an in-shape guy, and on Tuesdays he would take the offense and defensive line. We called it Terrible Tuesdays, and he would run us cardio 20 minutes every Tuesday, and every lineman on our team was in incredible shape, with him leading the condition of over-unders, jumping over bags, hitting everything we could, just didn't stop moving for 20 minutes, probably ran 2 miles in that 15 minutes, 20 minutes of conditioning. Coach McGuire ran the lifting off season. I loved every bit of it. Once football was over, wrestling started. And every day I spent 5 to 10 minutes talking to Coach about wrestling season, about how to, get some lifts in on the off season. And he was a great mentor. He also ran the admissions, the tickets when you went to any game. So he saw a lot of my home meets, watched a lot of it. He followed so many of us who wrestled that played football. He was, a big fan of everyone that wrestled who played football, and other guys that wrestled too. But it was great. Memories I had, I still have. In August, when I smell the grass, it reminds me of the first day on the field, on the wet practice field, covered in Canadian geese. I love that smell. Sometimes when people are cutting their lawn, I just get the whiff, and it just brings me back to being 14 years old. And I love it. And I'll take that moment, for minutes. After double sessions, grueling, double two-a-days for a week, the team would go to hometown buffet, and we'd all the seniors and juniors who had cars and licenses, we would take everyone on the team and would go get a nice buffet meal to congratulate ourselves for completing double sessions. And these are memories, giant memories I have. The day before games, Coach McGuire and Balian would have awards. You'd kind of get stickers on your helmet, and these and we all fought to get stickers because we wanted our helmets covered in stickers. And the big stick was for the guy that got the biggest hit the week before. And then everyone, especially linemen, linebackers, even D-backs, we competed to try to get that stick. And it was a big stick about 3 feet long. It said the big stick on it. You got to sign your name on it. You know, just great memories. 350s and team dinners. You know, 350s were conditioning where we ran 350 yards 6 to 12 times at the end of practice. That was kind of our conditioning, and you had 65 seconds to run from one. The team broke up into 4 at each goal line, and you ran around the field 350 yards. And because of that, we were a football team that never seemed to get tired. My junior year, I think we were 7-3. My senior year, we were 8-2. And 8-2 is tough because we lost our opener to Billerica by 6 points, and then we lost a fake field goal to Reading the week before Thanksgiving. So we were inches from being, a Super Bowl perfect team. And for that, I thank Coach Balian, Aguirre, the whole coaching staff. Football is such a good memory for me. Wrestling. Wrestling was a different beast. Same kind of toughness. Football, you always, had bruises. You came home bruised and you needed to ice every night. You needed to get off your feet. You needed to have good carb meals to, get your endurance back the next day. With wrestling, we trained for about 4 hours a day. 3.5, we'd get out of class. We all ran 5 miles up in the hallways. The hallways was like a quarter mile. And we ran 5 miles every single day before practice started. A lot of the winter teams would come and practice and would still be running when they went home from practice. And, that's something we kind of took pride in. And then we got our shoes on, we got in the room, and we trained hard for 3 or 4 hours. Football coaches, Joe Levasseur, Paul Schwartzman, Jay Bergelin, Steve Lemelin, my brother Matt, senior year. Lots of kids came back from college. They would help, they would come back and wrestle, and, on their breaks, they'd come and we would wrestle. And at, 220 pounds, there's not too many guys I could go with after year on. I'd have to go against Paul Schwartzman, my coach, or I'd have to go against Al Donovan from, the Shawsheen and Tewksbury, his brother, and they would have to bring guys in to wrestle me. And my brother, when he came home from college, these guys would give me rounds, and this is, something I'm so grateful for. Brian McNeil was the captain my freshman and sophomore year. He was a junior, senior captain. He was a leader among anyone I ever knew. He recruited, along with myself, freshman year, I think 13 heavyweights. So we convinced everyone to wrestle, who was a big boy, who could use get tougher, because wrestling makes football players better, and football makes wrestlers better. I do think they go hand in hand, and I don't understand why more kids, big boys, don't wrestle, just for the incredible endurance. We would 3-hour practices, the walls would be sweating. You would get a real good workout, your heart, a great workout for your heart. I loved wrestling. I still compete a little bit with wrestling and jiu-jitsu and martial arts. My ankles are bad. I definitely can't play field sports, but anything on a mat, I still get on once in a while. And from my experience in wrestling, it's something you learn and you don't really lose. You lose a little bit of your body, and you get a little, hurt in your shoulders and get a little out of shape and old and heavy. But still, when I get on that mat, I still am as confident as anyone when I practice or go to a gym, that, the stuff that these guys taught me. Paul Schwartzman came on at the end of my freshman year out of college, and he'd pick about 6 of us up in a white station wagon, I think his parents owned. And I'd have $10 in my pocket, and he'd pick up me and fellow inductee Kevin McNeil, along with a few other guys, and we would get in a car and would go to a wrestling tournament, these off-season tournaments. And you'd go to Franklin, you'd go to New Hampshire, you'd find all these gyms, and you paid $10 to get into a tournament, and you got to go and get a few matches, and it kept you, It kept you good on off-season. And, you know, what Paul did and still does for Burlington Wrestling with the high school and the youth is amazing. How he has that much time, I don't understand. But he's got it. He's a genius at the game. He's one of the top coaches in New England. And I'm so grateful for my freshmen really, you know, convincing me, yeah, let's go do this, let's go drive out here, let's go do this, get $10, let's go enter the tournament. We'd get Burger King on the ride home. And it was fun memories that, you know, you never lose. We did travel off-season tournaments, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. We do these different qualifying tournaments in Connecticut to go to Pennsylvania to do this. And it was the best wrestling, you know, summer wrestling in the country. And back then, wrestling wasn't wrestling was getting better in Massachusetts and New England. And sometimes you'd have to go down and, you know, get beat up in Maryland or something and, you know, go against some real guys, some farm boys. But these are things I loved, and Paul Schwartzman and Joe Levasseur were there the whole time. Joe Levasseur, I've known you my whole life. I went to high school with my mother. You played football, hockey, and college football against my father. You were my health teacher in first grade at Pine Glen. You'd show up in short gym shorts, a hooded sweatshirt, and wrestling shoes in the dead of winter with 6 inches on the ground. And you had a big mustache, a giant presence, and, you know, such a gentle heart. And everyone that ever played for Lev loves Lev. And, you know, he's such a good guy, and he's played the big guy and the loud kind of guy. But anyone who ever played for him, football, wrestling, girls track, no one has a bad thing to say about Lev. And no one will ever. And none of us would allow anyone to say anything bad about Lev, because you're not saying that about Lev. You coached with my dad at Shawsheen. You ran his defense. You guys had really good teams. I was the ball boy in middle school, so I got to hold the ball at all the Shawsheen games. I didn't really play much football in middle school because I played in 6th and 7th grade. I was on the A team back then. Sean McGuire coached, and the weight limit was 140 pounds, and I made it 6th and 7th grade. 7th grade, barely. I actually sucked a lot of weight I lost a good amount of weight to make the way in so I could play 7th grade. And in 8th grade, I did not play. But I got a couple years in. But being the ball boy for my father, I got to watch the sport. And, you know, when it was my time to play, my dad didn't want me losing. He said, I don't want you losing a lot of weight in Papuana. He thought that was kind of a dumb thing to make kids lose weight in 5th, 6th, 4th grade. So I got to play the couple years, but I was more of a student of the game in middle school, holding the ball, all my dad's all-stars. I loved watching them play, and I felt it made me a better player in high school. I wrestled because my brother got cut from the hockey team, I think, a JV hockey team his freshman year. And yeah. As a freshman, right? Yeah. And at 140 pounds, he decided he was going to be a varsity wrestler for Joe Lev, at the time, Jay Berglund. And my father, being a coach at Shawsheen, he brought home a camcorder, and he threw it at me and said, he gave it to me and said, record your brother's matches, This was at the beginning of December. And I did. And my parents didn't really allow me to wrestle in middle school either. I was a bigger boy. I would have been going against 8th graders in 6th grade. So I did it for a little bit 6th grade, but that was about it. But again, I was a student of the game with a camcorder with property of Shawsheen Tech on it. I was recording all my brother's matches, tournaments. He was a 4-year starter. So many good wrestlers, a couple All-Americans, the Royds brothers. James Basler. Guys I watched, Paul Schwartzman. I got to be a student and learn the game before I actually got on the mat and wrestled. So by the time it was in high school and I played hockey also, I forgot to say this. I played hockey from kindergarten to 8th grade, and then I knew from 5th grade on I didn't want to play hockey anymore. I was in love with this one-on-one aspect of combat, I guess you call it, wrestling. I was, okay at hockey. I spent many, many hours at hockey camps, Paul Vincent's, every Sunday night. My mother, I think wanted me to be a hockey player. She was a hockey cheerleader and pep team in high school, and they said you can wrestle in high school, but you can't wrestle in middle school. Like you've put in so many years into hockey. Keep playing hockey, and I eventually switched over, and wrestling is, still to this day, such an important thing in my life. I help with the team, my sons, Eddie and Joe over here. They wrestle for Paul's youth program, Anthony Bagney. They run such a good program, and I wouldn't have it any other way. My kids love it. I love it. It's such a good workout. It puts them to sleep. It used to put me to sleep after, and it's something I love. To my family, to my sisters, they were so supportive in high school. My sister Heather was an all-scholastic softball pitcher out of Mackinac. She was the real deal. She could throw a ball left-handed, underhand, 70-something miles an hour. And I scarily had to catch for her when I was a young kid, 4th, 5th grade. And so she was very competitive. And when it was my turn to wrestle and play football, she never missed a game. Her and my sister Sarah played field hockey, hockey chairing, and softball. And we spent our whole summers, our whole lives, going to everyone's games, going to everyone's matches. That's what the Gillises did. Growing up the son of a PE teacher and health, a football coach, we didn't go to Disney World. We didn't go to tropical islands with palm trees. We went to my sister's softball tournament in Maine, or my brother's hockey tournament, or my hockey tournaments, or my wrestling tournaments. That's what we spent our free time doing, and I wouldn't have it any other way in the world. So thank you to my sisters. To my brother Matt, like I said, you stopped playing hockey, you started wrestling. I didn't want to do anything but wrestle from 3 weeks into watching that sport. You played football and you were damn good at it. So I wanted to play football. I wanted to follow in my brother's footsteps. He was such a good leader. To me, growing up, I never missed a football game, never missed a wrestling match. And thank you, Matt. To my mother is an extraordinary person. She's the rock of our family. She's always been there. She's always there to make you dinner, make you this, watch my kids, anything you want to do. She's a true saint. And as a wrestling mother, Mom, I apologize because to every wrestling mother, Mrs. McNeil, you guys had to go through a lot. You had to watch your kids get beat up once in a while, and it's a tough thing to watch. Your kid turning purple because they, the good ones anyway, because they don't want to turn on their back, they don't want to get pinned, and they're going to fight. And that's what I look for in a wrestler. People who will fight off their back, don't give up. Even if you lose, you just 100%. So Mom, thank you. Dad, what can I say? Same thing, like with Matt, you were a football legend. You were great at baseball. My eyesight kept me from playing baseball. I never did that, but you were coach for 23 years. You had well over 100 wins. Most of your seasons were 8-2, 9-1. You're in 4 Hall of Fames. You're in the Burlington Hall of Fame as an athletic director, Wilmington Hall of Fame as a player, Bridgeton Academy Hall of Fame as a player, and the Massachusetts Football Coaches Hall of Fame as a coach. And for that, growing up, I always, wanted to live up to what you were. You never made us live up to what you were. You walked softly, carried a big stick. You never talked about yourself. All your battle stories I ever heard of were from former players and competitors that you had. Not till I went to Bridgeton Academy did I know so much about you, and Springfield College, which I followed, and the same things. I went to the same schools you went to, and without family, I wouldn't, I would have given up. I think lots of kids, with the drive and that, this and that, I owe everything to my parents, to my family, to my former teammates, to wrestling, to football, to all my coaches. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee is Jennifer Green LeBlanc. Jen was a 3-season athlete, playing soccer in the fall and running track in the winter and spring. She was captain of her soccer team in her senior year and earned Middlesex League All-Star status. According to Coach Conceition, Jen was a spirited outside halfback whose constant smile belied her toughness as an athlete. She refused to quit. Her major attributes were her superior fitness level and her tenacity. Quite often, she would take on bigger athletes without fear. She was an outstanding two-way soccer player. But her strength as an athlete, this is no longer Coach Conceition, but her strength as an athlete was track. 3-year varsity runner, captain in her senior year, and Middlesex League All-Star in her junior and senior years, and a Lowell Sun All-Star in her junior year. She holds the school record for the 600-yard run. Welcome to the Hall of Fame, Jennifer Green LeBlanc.
Good evening. I am honored to be here tonight, with Principal Sullivan, Martha Simon, Hall of Fame committee, fellow inductees, my friends from the class of '90, my parents, my sister Kristen, and my supportive husband Steve and daughter Anna. Sports changes lives. Sports molded mine. Early on, sports helped to build my confidence, develop leadership skills, and taught me self-discipline. It ultimately led me to a career in physical therapy. Most importantly, competing in athletics taught me 3 valuable lessons. Show up every day, work hard, and follow your heart. A few weeks ago, I sat down to reflect on my years competing for Burlington High School. I realized it wasn't my individual achievements that truly molded me. I recalled 2 defining moments. First one, failing to make the varsity soccer team as a freshman. Although disappointed that I did not meet my goal, I persevered to earn an opportunity to play for the varsity team late in the season. The second moment also came my freshman year during indoor track. For several meets, I failed to finish a race with good results. When the coach needed someone to compete in the 600, I raised my hand, showed up to the next meet to run that 3 3/4 laps, and surprisingly placed 3rd. The 600-yard run became my passion. That race allowed me to be one part of the distance medley team, along with 3 others, Missy, Lisa, and Michelle. We achieved a school record together and earned a spot to compete in the Eastern State Meet in New York. My fondest memories from soccer and track both came my junior year as team accomplishments. 3 years of daily team practices and putting in the effort culminated when our soccer team qualified for postseason playoffs under Coach Conceition. And then that spring, the outdoor track team under Coach Young finally upset Reading High, the reigning league champions. I am thankful to my coaches who helped me reach my potential and keep my perspective on and off the field. I am appreciative for my teammates who trusted me to lead them my senior year. I am grateful to my parents who showed up every game and every meet for 4 years. Today, my passion for running lives on and motivates me to contribute to causes dear to my heart. Run to Home Base, the Red Sox Foundation for Wounded War Veterans, and the Vanessa Marcotte Foundation, which empowers women to live boldly and fearlessly. Sport still molds my life today. I am fortunate to get to go to work every day to help injured athletes return to their highest potential. I am lucky to have the opportunity to now coach youth sports and help young athletes build their confidence and become leaders. Most of all, I am proud watching my daughters play and compete in multiple sports where they are growing and learning their own valuable lessons. I continue to draw on the lessons learned from my years at Burlington High School on a grander scale, whether it's at work, coaching, parenting, or navigating through life's challenges. Show up every day, work hard, and follow your heart. In closing, I would like to share a quote from an article written by Mike Spencer in 1989 that Coach Ross Newcomb used to motivate his runners, yet still inspires me today. Put your heart out in front of you and run for it. Thank you.
The next inductee is Michelle Locke. Michelle played field hockey for 4 years, way back in the late 60s and early 70s, earning a spot on the Merrimack Valley All-Conference team. Yeah, we played in the Merrimack Valley before any of you guys played in the Middlesex League. She was all Merrimack Valley in her junior and senior years. That's probably enough to get into the Athletic Hall of Fame, but there's more. She also played 4 years of softball and was also all-conference in her junior and senior years. An amazing athlete, and now a member of the Burlington High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Michelle is unable to be with us tonight. She lives in Delaware and could not make the trip. So accepting the award for Michelle is her good friend and brother-in-law, Bill Leroy. Also a Hall of Famer.
Michelle rode the wave of Title IX back in the early 70s. Really a pioneer in women's sports, and really set the stage, I think, for a lot of the accomplishments of women athletes at Burlington High School since then. She was also a career Marine, rising to the rank of colonel before she retired not long ago, and really wanted to be here tonight. She would like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for her support, nomination, and induction, and wanted to wish the rest of the inductees tonight congratulations and all the best. Thank you so much.
Okay, and our next inductee is Kevin McNeil. Kevin McNeil was a 3-sport athlete, but not just any sports. 3 of the most demanding physical sports out there. He played 3 years of varsity football in the trenches as a nose guard. As if he didn't get enough contact there in the winter, he was a wrestler, the most demanding sport there is. He was also very successful at it. A Middlesex League All-Star, a Lowell Sun All-Star, 4-time North Sectional Place winner, and a state champion in his senior year. He went from there to lacrosse, where they not only hit you with their bodies, but they hit you with their sticks as well. And oh, by the way, he was a Middlesex League All-Star in that sport too. Coach Lev had this to say about him. Great 3-sport athlete, but his greatest accomplishment was after a defeat in the All-State tournament. Totally dejected and depressed after a tough defeat, he didn't want to wrestle anymore. After some heart-to-heart reflection and help from Coach Lev, he got back on the mat and defeated the same kid that had beaten him and earned a spot on the podium. What a great story. And now, Kevin is a Hall of Famer. Congratulations, Kevin McNeil.
I'm truly honored to be up here this evening. Coach Lev tells that story about me losing my first match at All States my senior year, and I use that story a lot as I'm coaching high schoolers now. I remember laying on that mat and saying, "I'm done, Coach, I'm toast, I've had it." And in true Lev fashion, he just said, "Get up, Kev, you got more matches to wrestle." So I went out and finished out the tournament. But anyway, quick story about my teammate and good friend, Eddie Gillis. When I was a freshman, Eddie was a junior. So freshman year, yep, Eddie was a junior. Sophomore year, he's a senior. He was a captain both of those years. And I'll never forget, I lost a wrestle-off. Wrestling is like, I think, the greatest sport around. I'm biased, but we don't have tryouts, we have wrestle-offs. What happens, you think you're the best guy for the job, you tell the coach, I want to wrestle him off for his spot. You wrestle, the guy that wins, he competes. So my freshman year, I'm the 145-pounder on the varsity lineup. That's a long time ago, 145 pounds, but my freshman year, I lost a wrestle-off to a senior, and I remember being totally dejected and super upset. I went to the locker room. I felt like I let Coach Lev down. I felt like I let Coach Paul down. A few minutes later, Eddie walks in the locker room, and Eddie was the leader and captain that I needed at that moment. He picked me up. He told me to, dust myself off, get back in practice, and get after it. And he told me I was going to do really good things on the wrestling mat for Burlington High School. So Eddie, thank you for being a good teammate and a good friend. As was just mentioned, I wanted to play 3 sports in high school, and I wanted to play them at a high level. If I could have played 4, I would. I love athletics. It's a big part of my life. It's what I do now. I wanted to play 3 sports, and I wanted to do them, with a lot of success. I was fortunate to play on some very successful football teams, some successful lacrosse teams, and I won my fair share of wrestling matches. But the thing I'm most proud of about my time at Burlington High School is the fact that I was a 5-time captain. I take that and I use that a lot as I'm teaching and coaching. My mom and dad, they always told me, "Kevin, be a leader, don't be a follower." And they instilled that in me when I was a little kid, and they taught me that and kept teaching me that throughout my whole life. Be a leader. So I continue to lead as an elementary PE teacher and a coach, but most importantly to me, I continue to lead with the help of my amazing wife, Joanna, as we raise our 3 children, Connor, Logan, and Owen. We do our best to teach our boys to be leaders, to play hard, and above all else, to be kind and respectful. We hope they never forget that. I've got a few thank yous. I will try to make this quick. Coach Paul, thank you for your countless hours. Paul Schwartzman, countless hours you have spent on me and all of the other wrestlers at Burlington High School. Coach Paul Schwartzman coached me when I was a young kid in the youth wrestling program in Burlington. And, it's Paul's dedication and honestly having him as a mentor has driven me. My wife and I started a youth wrestling program in our hometown where we live now. Well, not our hometown, but where we live now in Belchertown, Massachusetts. And, I'm really fortunate to have Paul in my life. I still text him with crazy questions all the time about wrestling as a high school coach. So thank you, Paul. Coach Lev, you're a big reason why I chose the career path that I did. I am a teacher and a coach because you showed me the importance of having somebody in your corner at all times. I'll never forget, this is a good memory for you, Lev, I will never forget this day. Myself and 2 other state champions were sitting in the locker room, Mike Atlas and Chris Prado and myself. We had all just won states in the Burlington High School gymnasium. And we were all in the locker room, and Coach Lev came in, and I've never seen a bigger smile, believe it or not, I'd never seen a bigger smile than was on Coach Lev's face that day. He was smiling ear to ear. He was so proud of us, and that meant the world to me. I've coached some state champions in my time as a high school coach, and I know the feeling, but Lev, that day was something else, really, really something else. I'd like to thank the Burlington High School Athletic Hall of Fame Committee for all of their work putting on this wonderful evening. Congratulations to everyone being inducted tonight. Again, thank you, Coach Lev and Coach Paul and all the other coaches that I have had throughout my life. To my family, I want to thank you for your unwavering love and support throughout the years, whether it was standing on the sidelines during a 7-degree football game, supporting me as a coach, or cheering my children on You have helped shape me to be the father, coach, and teacher I am today. Thank you so much. I love you.
Our next inductee is Katie Umili. Another three-sport athlete. Katie took on soccer in the fall, basketball in the winter, and softball in the spring. She played 4 years of varsity soccer, captaining the team in her junior and senior years. She was a Middlesex League All-Star in her junior and senior years, a Lowell Sun All-Star her senior year, and a Boston Globe Division I second-team All-Star her junior year. She played 2 years of basketball and 4 years of softball, but her strength was soccer, leading the league in scoring in her junior year. According to Coach Conceition, Katie Umili was one of the best athletes I have ever coached. She was Cam Neely on a soccer field, always relating it to hockey. She was tough, determined, and was dangerous around the net. She scored many goals, but always got them when we needed them. Katie was a throwback leader who demanded that each teammate match her commitment to the team. Congratulations, Katie Umili, and welcome to the Burlington High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you to the Burlington Athletic Hall of Fame Committee. This recognition is great. I'd also like to congratulate all the other inductees tonight. Coach Conceition, a little special congratulations to you since you put up with me for 4 years. This moment is really, really something. Honestly, I didn't have a lot of recollection of my time at BHS or the stats or the awards when I got the nomination letter. So, you know, it was almost 30 years ago. I graduated in 1994. There's a typo in the programs tonight. So I took a little trip to Burlington Public Library, and I got there, and the microfiche machine was gone. And I was like, oh, shoot, how am I going to remember all this? I'm the third child. I've got 2 older sisters, so there was like 2 or 3 paper clippings from my career at BHS. And the microfiche machine was down, and inaccurately, I've recollected my career at BHS. So, but fortunately, I played before the World Wide Web was publicly available. So, so I don't have to worry about anybody fact-checking me tonight. So really what I wanted to start with is I wanted to start tonight by thanking my family. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Dad mostly for the genetics and the fierce determination in putting me into every sporting situation possible, even ice hockey before Burlington High School had an ice hockey team. Coach Conceition tried to convince me to try out for the men's hockey team, I think at one point in my high school career, which would have thrilled my father, but we didn't do that. We stuck with soccer and basketball and softball. But Mom and Dad, you really let me be me. You guys supported me, you encouraged me, you taught me all the things that were truly important about sports, and that's living to your ability, trying really hard, and being good to everybody that you met, being a great teammate and a great leader. So I thank you for that. To my 2 older sisters who had to put up with me, being the youngest of 3, and you know, my dad was really waiting for his one athlete to come around. He thought he had 2 in Courtney and Kristen, but then I came around and I kind of took over from there. So Courtney and Kristen, every single game, they stood up for me. I was not very well liked by a lot of the other teams that we played, and my sisters usually had to deal with that repercussion on the sidelines. So I appreciate your support. My sister Kristen, coming in at 5 feet tall, is one of the nastiest people you're ever going to encounter if you mess with her little sister. Court as well. My Auntie Patty, who is here tonight, and my Auntie Patty and my grandparents. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about my Nani and Big Jim, who literally, my Nani hand-rolled homemade gnocchis every single team dinner with meatballs for every single team I played on. And Nani and Big Jim drove me to every practice, every sporting event for as long as I can remember. And without Patty, Nani, and Big Jim, my sports career would have been very limited. So I thank you, Patty, for representing them tonight. And thank you, Nani and Big Jim, for giving us all the power with your carbohydrates. I want to thank the great coaches I benefited from playing for. 3 BHS Hall of Fame coaches. Really got the opportunity to hone my skills. I was a little wild when I got to BHS. I played for Dennis Thompson, Bob Mr. C. Conceition, which we'll get to him in a few minutes, but and the late and great Mary McGinn. Thank you. Thank you, Allison McGinn. I asked Allison to come here and represent her mom. Your mom was such a wonderful person and an incredible coach. And there's a few of our teammates here in the audience tonight. And she really taught me a lesson that stuck with me for years. If anybody knew Mary or was at Mary's Hall of Fame induction, she was the calmest, coolest person you'd ever meet. And I can remember Mary just saying to me, just keep swinging, just a little hit, just a little hit, make contact. That's all you need to do to start making things go your way. That and some very weird hand signals that came from third base that I think I still do when I'm nervous, and I was doing them earlier under the table. Jeannie, I see you laughing at me right now. She knew just how to change the momentum and really shift the focus. So I thank Mary for that. And thank you, Allison, for being here. For me, sports, it really just gave me confidence. It taught me that if you work hard, you can accomplish anything. I was incredibly fortunate to be on great teams. I was able to transition these skills to my future. I know that was the foundation that has led me to personal and professional success. And 2 of my sons were here tonight. It got a little late for them, so they had to go home. But I'm going to say this because we're videotaping anyways. To Trevor and Kyle, your mom and I hope you experience similar memories in life and hopefully through a sport. I'm really hoping sports kick in for them. It's a struggle right now, so we're hoping this speech can help them propel into a sport career. And if you've ever known me, you know that I love competing, and I more so love to win. Courtney and Kristen can attest to that. And that's what I remember most about my time at Burlington High School. It was the incredible teams I was on. We won a lot of games, 4 years in a row, deep into the state tournament in soccer. 20-0 as a freshman on the varsity basketball team my freshman year with some incredible athletes. I think in softball, we made the state tournament for the first time in 15 years. And we won a lot, people didn't like us, and I really loved that. But what made all of those memories even sweeter was the amazing teammates I had. I'm gonna name off a lot of them for the Burlington Hall of Fame committee because they seem to need some help in remembering a few of these candidates. But I had a privilege to play alongside some incredible athletes, incredible coaches, team managers. The list is endless. And we really approached each season, starting my freshman year. I can remember the jog up to the Burlington Common and sitting under the tree with Coach Conceition, making varsity soccer as a freshman, and no one expected me to do that. And it was an incredible feeling, and it was a community, it was a family. And Coach Conceition mentioned the word inclusiveness. And that's what sports at Burlington High School was all about for me. Every season, every year, I got to meet people and athletes like Michelle Baden, one of the greatest goalies I've ever played with, and all the other athletes that you really just became a family for a season. And those are the memories that have stayed with me 30 years from now. It's not all the wins, it's not the goals, it's not anything to do with, I can remember every one of the teams that beat us, but I can't remember most of our games. But those were the things that I love the most. We shared a deep bond, a family bond. We pushed each other to be better every day. We were accountable to each other. We took pride in being Lady Devils. We even wore our game jerseys every single time we had a game to school. They announced everything about the night before on the morning announcements at BHF, if you scored a goal, if you got an assist, if you won the game. It was a community that really cared for the sports programs. But most of all, I remember all the good times we had along the way. Team dinners, sleepovers, bus rides, road trips. And of course, my brilliant idea, along with my best friend Jeannie, so Jeannie, you can wave your hand and take credit for this with me as well. We had the brilliant idea to have a really great team bonding experience when Bob and Colleen were home making out the curfew list. We decided that the best way to get to team curfew at 10 o'clock each night was to steal every single pumpkin within 15 miles of Burlington all season long. And then on Halloween Eve, we would actually just trash the concessions house with literally hundreds of pumpkins. And that was our team bonding experience. So, Coach, looking back at this now as a parent, I know it was probably really difficult to explain this to your neighbors, explain this to your children why it was wrong as they gleamed in delight as the Halloween Eve pumpkin patch came every year. I really hope this tradition continued after Jeannie and I graduated, but it probably didn't. But these are the memories I have of my time playing. And, you know, most of all, I want to thank all of the teammates that I played with, all of the teammates that are here tonight, and anyone that experienced the memories, the challenges, the losses, the wins. I want to accept this award on behalf of all of my teammates. I wouldn't be here without you. Thank you, everyone, and have a great evening. This was really a wonderful night.
How lucky we all were to grow up here in this town, play sports in this town, have great, support from the school system, as well as all the great coaches and so forth. I know I've been so blessed to live in this town my whole life, as have several others, and we're still here. And it's just a blessing to still be here in the town of Burlington. And just in closing, I'd like to thank our host tonight for this event, Bobby Murray, who's the owner of the Cafe Escadrille. Bobby goes above and beyond every year, financially supporting this event, and his staff that do a great job. Thank you for the staff. The meal and the service were tremendous. Also like to thank the director of BCAT, Jen Dodge, for allowing this event to be filmed tonight. So you can all go on to local cable television and see this with you and your families. For those that were here tonight, we'd like to see a rerun. So thank them. And Robert Parrish, who was here filming for us from BCAT. Bob, thanks so much for everything. Have a safe trip home, and don't forget to fill out your applications. As was mentioned, there's several other athletes that would like to see nominated and so forth, and we're still looking for Hall of Fame members. So please, if you're interested, any of you, please let us know. Thanks so much for a great night.